All right, hi, welcome back to Levin Does Programming or whatever. I don't know what this is. Somebody on the RPG Maker subreddit asked how to release all the Pokemon with a single button in the storage screen. And I was like, that sounds kind of cool. So we'll look into that. Okay, so to make this, I'm going to add this to the box commands, which are the ones that show up when you click on the box. So you have jump, wallpaper, name, and we're just going to insert one that says release all. And then here, we just need to add a win 3. And for right now, we're going to put nothing there. Let's get in game where I have saved in front of a PC. But coming into game to test it, we can see it here when we go to organize our box. And we can see it here when we go to withdraw. It won't work from deposit because obviously you can't mess with that there. So far, so good. Okay, so we're gonna need a new function for this. I was looking at the release function, and it has a lot of things in it that we're gonna wanna probably remove. For example, we don't want these texts popping up every time a Pokemon can't be removed. We just want to move on to the next one. So, we're going to make our own command. I'm just going to come down here to the bottom to make it. I've copied PB release as it is in its entirety as a baseline, and we're going to work from there. So we're going to rename it to PB release all. And it looks like we need the box number. So we're going to pass in the box number as a parameter. And then we'll just set the box to the box number. All right, I don't think we need anything involving held poke in here. So anywhere you see the held poke, we're gonna probably end up removing that. So let's just start here. We're gonna pass in the box number and then the index, which we're gonna start at 0. And we're gonna need to make a for loop. We don't need the index. We'll go in 0 to, how many box spaces are there? So it's probably 0 to 29. We'll come back to that, obviously. All right, so everything below here, don't think we want to return, but I'll leave the return there for now. In fact, I highly doubt we want to return. Highlighting everything and hitting a tab will move it all over too, so you can keep everything in line. Okay, so the Pokemon is going to be equal to the index. So the box and the index. Is this the only place box is used? I think so. We're just going to replace that with box number. And just remove that from there. We don't need that extra fluff. Yeah, so we should be able to go, if it's an egg, instead of returning or displaying anything, we're just going to type the word next. And what this should do is take us to the next index. So next if it's not a Pokemon, next if it's an egg, next if it's male, next if you cannot release it. So you could probably do this all in one thing instead of having a whole if else for it, but I think that's fine to leave that alone. And I'm going to space that out just so that looks nicer to me. And then we will just return here because we just want it to end. So if we hit the last Pokemon, this should just return. We don't want this, but we are going to do something with that. So let's hide that. Which means we don't need this if statement. And because we don't need that if statement, you don't need this end. And you can highlight this all and hit shift and tab at the same time. Move that all back. Oh, okay, I see. This just does it. Okay. I think that's fine. In.refresh. We don't want to print that out because that'll just take too long. And then we don't need to return there. And this might work. I'm not sure. That's the fun of this. So let's go find where we were doing this, which is right here. we should just be able to call the function, and we should just be able to pass in the current box, which is right here. And I'm sure that'll be something wrong with this, but we'll take a look. Yeah, there's no box. It's box number. That is true. Try again. There's no index. It's instead the letter I. Also true, also true, also true. Hehe. I did a bad job copying and pasting, I guess. Or resolving my copy and pastes. Wait, it worked? It just didn't update the scene. Yeah, okay, that's probably what this is supposed to be. That makes sense, probably. So we need to look for PB release, but like in terms of the scene. So I think selected is the Pokemon and held pokes the Boolean. And it's just, so okay, selected is just an array. So if we go here and we just pass in a new array, so if we just go box number, comma, I, and then just pass in false like this, that might work. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cool? It's a little slow, but that is cool. So now the Gyarados here has Surf, which means it shouldn't be deleted. And we have an Egg, which means it shouldn't be deleted. And if you want to leave it with the animation, this is how this should look. We could probably... Ooh. Goodbye, Gyarados. Egg stayed, though. Which is probably because... Yeah, this doesn't actually check for HMs. Does the original actually check for HMs? Maybe it never did. Yeah, no, this never actually checks for HMs, which is fine. If they don't check for HMs, I'm not gonna check for HMs. Most people remove them anyways. But you could just like add it if it has HMs. Don't release it. Alright, so if you like the way this is, you have the resolve button, and you like this animation, it's a little slow. I will try to fix that animation later and make it a little bit faster. But you could leave it like this and it'd be sufficient. There is one thing I would like to add, which is I want to make sure that the player wants to do this. This is an easy mistake to make. Release all Pokemon in this box. No, yes. And if the command is 1, that means they hit yes. So if command is equal to 1, that means they hit yes. And I'm gonna ask twice. Gonna make sure, and then just if the command is 0 after we've asked, then you can just return no matter what. So now, when we get back in the game, we should have a little confirmation box. Yes. If I hit no, it doesn't do it. If I hit no the first time, it doesn't ask the second time. Release all. Yes. Yes. Boom. And so that's a little fail-safe for the player. I highly recommend you put that in. Okay, so now I'm gonna look at speeding this animation up. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, so if you want to make the release time faster, right here at the top of Pokemon Storage, there's the update function. And in here, this is what controls it. If the opacity gets set to 0, or when it's 0, then the release timer ends and it gets rid of it. So, as long as you make it less than 1.5, it'll be faster. This is 1.5 seconds. So, for example, if you make this 0.25, it'll be done in a fourth of a second. And if you did that up here as well for the zoom, so that the zoom like goes fast enough, what you'll see is that we'll be able to dispose of the box 4 times, well, not 4 times faster, it's like 6 times faster. Don't forget, by the way, with floats you have to have a 0 in the front, so it's 0.25. It does get engy if you don't have the 0, which mine did, and that's why it's crashed, and that's why I had to get it back. So now this should be really fast. And this does affect the normal release time, which I don't, know if you particularly care, but yeah. So you can leave it slow, you can have it fast. Either way, that is how you make a release all button, just to show the code, the final code for release all. In fact, if I zoom out, well, it's fine. It's fine. There it is. The yes, no is cut off here, but like, there it is. You can see it now. And then there's the whole code. Anyways, that is the resol button. Thank you for watching or whatever. I don't know. I hope this helped you. If it didn't, I guess it was a waste of your time. Shrug. I don't know. Bye-bye.